Coming up on NTC News, a former NIU professor suspected of killing himself and his young sons are laid to rest. We'll have the story.
A signature scandal shakes up the Student Association. We'll speak with the head of the Student Senate.
And what do these quilts have to do with human rights? We'll tell you later in the show. All this and more on NTC News.
You're watching NTC News, DeKalb County's only television news source, on the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center. This is NTC News Tonight.
Hello, I'm Jackie O'Donnell. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Marlene Wences. Today is March 8th.
A grisly murder-suicide involving a former NIU professor has left a community in shock.
NTC reporter Mackenzie Matos joins us now with more.
Thanks, guys. 58-year-old P.S. Ruckman was an assistant professor in public law at NIU from 1991 to 1998. He was considered a renowned political expert, but all that changed when he was found dead in his home over the weekend. Police say he shot his two young sons and himself. Their mothers, their friends, and loved ones will gather today to remember the boys.
The Ruckman brothers,
Christopher and Jack Ruckman's lives were music. Both boys were well known in their Rockford community, with their musical talent showcased on radio stations and school productions. The two boys were found dead in their home last Saturday with gunshot wounds. Their mother asked authorities to check on the home when their father failed to drop them off on her custody weekend. The visitation will be at 4 o'clock today until 8 p.m. at Christ Our Savior Lutheran Church in Rockford. The memorial service will then follow tomorrow. 4 days before the murders, Ruckman posted a Facebook status saying, "Not why, but because." Reports say that police believe Ruckman was leaving clues about his plans. As seen in these tweets, Ruckman also sent out 10 emails to various colleagues and journalists of his entire life's work, hours before allegedly killing his two sons and turning the gun on himself. Rockford Christian High School, where Christopher attended, has grief pets and counselors on the campus to provide help for students. Students honored the boys by decorating Christopher's locker and the rest of the hallway. The schools will establish a music scholarship in Chris and Jack's name. Spokesperson Lisa Miner told NTC News that the school is not speaking to the media, but did release this statement, saying NIU was deeply saddened to learn of the senseless tragedy involving former NIU employee P.S. Ruckman and his two young children. Our hearts and thoughts are with their family, mother, friends, and the Rockford community. We'll keep you posted on any updates with this developing story.
Thank you, Mackenzie. A student association scandal has forced 4 candidates off a ballot. The Board of Elections said they noticed there were multiple signatures that had the same handwriting. The board released a notice of the disqualifications yesterday as a result of the alleged forced signatures. The candidates were running for president, vice president, treasurer, and student trustee. An appeal is pending as the investigation continues.
The Student Association is seeking more people following the unexpected turn of events.
Brandon Giese is here with the Student Association Speaker of the Senate, Christine Wang.
She is opting not to comment on the signature scandal story, but is here to tell us more about what the SA does for our campus. Brandon?
Thanks, ladies. So the Senate recently lost 10 senators. And that was due to unfulfilled requirements, if I'm not mistaken?
It's due to a variety of reasons. So either some of them didn't meet the requirements, or they didn't. They had some excess absences. There's a variety of reasons. Some of them had resigned. It's pretty common and it's pretty typical for when you transition from the first semester to the second semester to lose a number of senators. So it's really nothing to worry about that much because we were at capacity. We were at 40 senators and then we lost 10, so we were at 30, and we've been slowly filling that back up. So it's really not that bad.
So what's the process of getting new senators to fill those positions?
So there's a process called Senator at Large. Basically what happens is if we have a vacant seat that's unfilled, any student who is a full-time student with a 2.5 GPA or above can apply to be a senator, which is requires 50 signatures and an application, and then it gets reviewed and then sent to the agenda to be read on the floor. And then that way, the senators can actually go up, or the candidates can go up, and then the Senate itself will vote those candidates in as senators.
So what does a senator do on a daily basis?
So it's more like a weekly basis. There's committee meetings that they all have to sit on. There's 5 standing committees. Rules and procedures, which details the rules and procedures, campus life and Greek affairs, university services, public affairs, and then environmental affairs. So each senator has to serve on at least one of those committees. So that takes about an hour of each week, and then every Sunday we have a Senate meeting. It's a general meeting that takes anywhere between hour and a half to sometimes, if it goes really long, it goes about 3 hours. And so that's about the time commitment that a regular senator would take. Now, obviously, it can be whatever you make of it, and so there's a lot that you can do with that position.
So how does that differ from your daily life? I'm sure a ton.
Yeah, as speaker, a lot of the things that you see in the papers or whatever it is in the Senate meetings, that takes up about 20% of all my duties that I do, I would say. The rest of it is a lot of behind the scenes work, meeting with administrators to make sure that we have our voices represented, to the administrators, meeting with local legislators, like state legislators. We also have met with the city as well. We work closely with them. And in fact, yesterday we had a meeting with them as well. So there's a lot of things that we do behind the scenes, and in my role and as leaders, that affects a lot of the way that we get represented to the NIU community and the people who impact the NIU community.
So what's most important to you then? What do you want to leave with the NIU community as your time as Speaker of the Senate ends?
So I hope to leave it a little more aware of all the issues that are happening on campus. I mean, they change from year to year, obviously. Our focus changes from year to year depending on what is necessary to focus on. But I do hope that we have more people who are more engaged, not only within NIU's campus, but also within our community. So that's probably one of the things I really want to do, and just to bring awareness to those issues as well.
All right, thank you for meeting with me today, Christine. It was a pleasure. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Student Senate meets every Sunday at 5 p.m. and has offices in the Campus Life building.
Why don't students vote? That was the question at the table at an NIU event last night. Members from Dream Action NIU and other research groups shared with students the importance of having a voice in casting a ballot. Organizers say if young people don't vote, they don't have the right to complain when things like funding to higher education gets cut. They also reminded everyone to keep in mind that the Illinois primaries are on Tuesday, March 20th, but you can cast your early vote now.
Brothers, a community service group at NIU, has their biggest event of the year tonight. Their Tribute to Black Women event is celebrating powerful women's accomplishment on NIU's campus. The event will acknowledge hard-working Black women who are making strides in leadership, academics, and community service. The theme for the event is Return of the Crown.
It is a chilly day here in DeKalb.
Yes, it is. Let's send it over to NTC's Jacob Montesano to fill us in on our daily forecast.
Yes, it has been very cold across DeKalb today, and what's made it even worse has been the wind gust. But thankfully, temperatures will be rising over the next several days. More details on that and your spring break will be coming up in just a little bit. Back to you guys.
Next on NTC News, is there a trade war looming? We'll update you on this.
And a professor here at NIU has been a natural disaster. Those stories are great.
These are cool. Did you, what did you?
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. but I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Drop that baby.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
I see you mobbing over her. Let's go. Let's mob. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, we mobbing. Come on, girl. Let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl. Hey, let's crawl. Hey, yo, let's crawl.
This week in politics, a top aide to President Donald Trump is resigning.
Carl Reevy has more in this week's Political Pit Stop.
Thanks, guys. President Trump's top economic advisor, Gary Cohn, is resigning. The White House said on Tuesday that the former Goldman Sachs executive is leaving after sharp disagreements with the president on trade reform. Cohn is one of many politicians to challenge Trump's proposal to impose steep tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. That proposal was made last week. Mr. Trump tweeted yesterday that a new chief economic advisor would be appointed soon.
Believe me, everybody wants to work in the White House. They all want a piece of that Oval Office. They want a piece of the West Wing. And not only in terms of it looks great on their resume, it's just a great place to work.
The Department of Justice is suing California over its immigration policies. The department filed a federal lawsuit late Tuesday evening in an attempt to terminate multiple sanctuary state bills. These bills limit state and local police cooperation with federal immigration authorities and have kept undocumented immigrants safe from arrest. The Trump administration has repeatedly attacked sanctuary jurisdictions as harboring dangerous criminals. The primaries for November's midterm election are underway. The primaries kicked off in Texas on Tuesday night and drew in more than 2.5 million voters. Democratic turnout for the primary topped 1 million for the first time since 2002, with Democratic candidates gathering 40% of the votes. The next primary will take place right here in Illinois on March 20th. Finally, the North Korean government is willing to discuss abandoning its nuclear weapons program with the United States. South Korean officials said on Tuesday that North Korea's leadership was ready to discuss denuclearization and to normalize their relations with the U.S. This comes after Kim Jong-un's first meeting with South Korean officials since 2011 on Monday. President Trump said, "I really believe they are sincere, but will hold off on direct talks with the North Korean government until it takes credible moves toward denuclearization beforehand."
It would be a great thing for the world. It would be a great thing for North Korea. It would be a great thing for the peninsula. But we'll see what happens.
The U.S. will resume joint military exercises with South Korea despite the message. That's it for this week's Political Pit Stop. Back to you.
President Trump will meet today with industry executives to discuss his controversial traffic plan. The president is proposing a 25% tariff on steel imports and 10% on aluminum. Officials from China and Europe have already threatened to retaliate if Mr. Trump goes ahead with his plan. The Trump administration says the tariffs are an issue on national security designed to protect U.S. metal interests.
There are quilts hanging in Cole Hall that have color and meaning. They were made from memories and hold stories. NTC reporter Ryan Naughton has more on the meaning behind some of the quilts.
NIU is currently hosting a feature in Cole Hall with quilts that have to do with various issues. Research assistant at Pick Museum of Anthropology, Rachel Drochter, talks about some of the quilts.
We added some other quilts that are kind of part of the modern quilt movement, and a lot of them are based upon what are referred to as like protest quilts.
Some have to do with race issues.
View from the Mountaintop talks a lot about African American activists.
Another has to do with the death of minorities.
The skulls, that's actually made by the Migration Quilt Project, and they do quilts every year to talk about undocumented migration.
Grad student Corey Elsesser says that the exhibit has a lot of meaning to people because there is a quilt there related to the NIU shooting 10 years ago.
I think a lot of people came in here on that day and saw the quilt, and there was a real emotional connection that was made.
The exhibit is in a refurbished room where the shooting took place. The exhibit started in September and is open until May. I'm Ryan Naun from NTC News.
Today saying, "I'm loving it." That's because many McDonald's franchises have flipped their M's upside down in honor of International Women's Day. The McDonald's Corporation reports that 6 out of their 10 managers are women. Many locations are even using special packaging to promote the day.
The longest-serving trustee of the NIU board will be retiring after 22 years of service. According to NIU Today, Bob Bowie was one of the first people appointed by the former governor, Jim Edgar, to serve on the NIU board back in 1996. Bowie helped oversee the construction of numerous campus buildings and steered NIU through some tough financial times. Bowie says it's not easy leaving the board, but he's looking forward to the rest.
Thanks to an NIU professor, forecasters may be able to do something they have never done before. Predict tornadoes, possibly weeks in advance. Dr. Victor Jansini developed a tool that allows forecasters to prepare for severe weather in advance. It's called the Extended Range Tornado Activity Forecast. The model is based on an equation that was first developed in the 1800s.
Spring break is right around the corner.
Let's see if Jacob has some good news for people who are staying in this area.
Well, thankfully, temperatures over spring break will be warmer than they were this week. Tonight, we'll have partly cloudy skies with cold conditions. A low of 17 is possible. But thankfully, the winds will die down to just 5 to 10 miles per hour. As we look into Friday, we'll see partly cloudy skies with a high of 37 and a low of 22. And the winds will continue to be calm with just 5 to 10 miles per hour. As you look into Saturday, temperatures will climb slightly to a high of 42 and a low of 25. The winds will remain steady from 5 to 10 miles per hour. But the big thing about this weekend is that there is no rain in the forecast even as we look into Sunday. We'll see partly cloudy skies with a high of 41 and low of 26. And this will be the weather that we will be seeing over spring break. So as we look into the week ahead, we see a high of 42 on Monday with sunny skies, a high of 39 on Tuesday with partly cloudy skies, and a high of 46 on Wednesday with partly cloudy skies. Although it's not the ideal weather you're probably looking forward to over spring break, it is a little bit warmer than it was this week. Back to you guys.
Coming up next on NTC News. Both of NIU's basketball teams played in the first round of the basketball tournament. We'll let you know how they did.
One of our athletes shares their love for gymnastics with us. Find out who when we come back.
Papa.
Testing. Why did the girl ask the mushroom to dance? Because he was a fun guy. Ready?
It's pretty.
Maybe I'll sit.
Overall, a tough week for Husky athletics.
Ibuna Luau Sayemi has more on this.
Thanks, ladies.
Thanks, ladies. Unfortunately, it's been a tough week. Let's start on the hardwood with the men's and women's basketball. The men's basketball team ended the season with a disappointing loss Monday to Kent State Golden Flashes in the first round of the MAC tournament. Junior forward Levi Bradley led the team with 18 points and 6 rebounds. Its efforts weren't enough, however, as Kent State guard Gavin Szabo hits the buzzer-beating layup to secure a 61-59 victory. NIU finishes the season with a disappointing 13-19 overall record, the worst in the MAC. The women's basketball team's season didn't end any better, as they also lost in the first round matchup on Monday. The Huskies fell 84-77 to the Eastern Michigan Eagles at the Convocation Center. NIU led 77-75, but turnovers led to the Eagles ending the game on a 9-0 run in the final minute. Junior forward Courtney Woods led the Huskies with 24 points and 12 rebounds, while senior Kelly Smith ended a NIU career with 20 points. NIU finished the season with a 15-15 record. The NIU softball team won 2 games in the Southern Illinois tournament in Carbondale. Both victories came against Murray State Racers. In the first game, senior pitcher Tara Tacker led the Huskies to a 3-0 victory. Thacker went the distance in the complete game shutout. The second game against the Racers went even better than the first. The Huskies came out on top with a 7-3 victory. The softball team will travel to Richmond, Kentucky on Friday for the Eastern Kentucky tournament. Staying on the diamond, we check in with the baseball team after a tough weekend in San Antonio. The Huskies faced off with the University of Incarnate Word for a 4-game series where they only had 1 victory. That 15-1 win came directly after a blowout 17-0 loss. The season has started as planned for the baseball team with a 4-7 record. The Huskies travel to Carbondale Friday to start a 3-game series against SIU. The Gymnastics team is off a historic victory against the Western Michigan Broncos this past weekend. The team combined for a 195.725 score, the 3rd highest in NIU's history. Junior Anna Matucci earned herself a 9.975 on her floor routine, the highest since 1995. The team will head to Chicago to compete in the Illinois Classic hosted by UIC on March 11th. Another gymnast took home hardware this week. NTC reporter Martin Soleto has more on this week's Leader of the Pack.
Senior gymnast Ashley Potts gained interest in gymnastics at the age of 1. Out of high school, Ashley only received 1 scholarship offer, but that didn't push her away from her goals. Since arriving in NIU, she has gone from team alternate to team captain by mastering her own abilities.
I kind of just try to be consistent all around and try to keep doing everything I've been doing. I didn't really try to learn new skills. It was just like form and consistency that I really tried to focus on.
During her time here at NIU, Ashley has broken many records. With dedication, she has consistently outperformed her own standards. Coach Sam Morelli sees Ashley having a bigger impact on her team as they tend to follow her lead.
The goal is to leave the program better than you found it, and this group, Ashley especially, has definitely helped to do that. We are in a much better place because of Ashley and the other seniors.
The gymnastics team continues to improve around Ashley's performances. Coach Morelli believes that this is a trait that will define her legacy even after she leaves NIU. Ashley herself realizes that her actions reflect on her team. She may not be in her teammates' ears, but she is in their minds.
I kind of think I just lead by example. Like, I think I've been here for a while, so they kind of can follow in what I'm doing and understand that, like, I kind of have an idea about it. And then I kind of just, like, put forward, like, all the effort I can and just hope that everyone, like, follows along.
Ashley's determined work ethic and lead by example mentality leaves her as this week's leader of the pack. I'm Martin Sotelo from NCC News.
Ashley is looking to continue her success with the state championships on the horizon. The gymnastics team will look to do the same as they prepare for the MAC championships hosted in Mount Pleasant, Michigan on March 24th. That will be it for NCC Sports, and as always, go Huskies. Let's send it back to the desk.
Spring break is around the corner, and for some Huskies, that means giving back. NIU Today reports that this is the 25th anniversary of the school's spring break service trips. That's where NIU students spend their spring break in places like Pensacola, Florida, building homes and serving those in need. The head of the program, Jack King, says over 700 NIU students have racked up over 25,000 volunteer hours.
Meanwhile, we run around campus today to find out what some NIU students are planning for the break. This is what they had to say.
I feel like it is up to them. I know there are people who do like mission retreats and different things that actually like help out with churches and other communities that do need the help, and then there are obviously others that just go out party or go.
Spring break because weather's gonna be better and you get a break from school. You get to see your family, your friends from back home. I'm excited to go back to work.
I have to stay in DeKalb for spring break because I have a genetics lab. We're studying flies and I don't have enough to go home and I don't want to take them home, so I'll be here.
And keep in mind, NTC News will be back on the air after spring break.
We're going to leave you now with the group Seasonal Menswear singing Theme Song for a Quarter Life Crisis. It will air Thursday night at 7 on 89.5 FM and WNIJ.org. Take care, everyone.